Twin suns burned softly over the dusty alien colony of Turvan 4, a small world far away from Earth, where sand whispered through the wind and metal homes stood crooked and tired. It was late afternoon, and the colony's playground was filled with alien children laughing, throwing bright orange energy balls, and running across the glowing sand. Their tails flicked, their eyes sparkled, and their voices echoed like songs in the dry air. But in one quiet corner sat a little girl who never joined them. Her name was Lyra. She was small, with silver blue skin and soft white hair that shone like frost. Her left leg was gone, replaced by a dull metal limb that was too big for her tiny body. It creaked when she moved. She sat in an old hover chair that hummed weakly, its power cells almost dead. When the ball rolled toward her, she caught it, smiling shyly. For a moment she thought maybe, just maybe, they would call her to play. But instead the alien children stopped, stared, and began whispering. One of them said loudly, "Don't let her touch it, she's broken." Another laughed. The sound stung more than the metal that rubbed against her skin. Lyra placed the ball down gently and pushed it back toward them, forcing a smile. They didn't thank her. They just ran off again, leaving her alone in the dust. She looked at her reflection in the metal side of her chair. One golden eye, one cloudy white. "Maybe they're right," she whispered. "Maybe broken things shouldn't try to play." Just then, a loud roar echoed through the colony. A new ship was landing near the repair bay. The engines coughed black smoke, sparks flying as the metal beast touched down. Everyone stopped to look. Out of the smoke stepped a human, tall, wearing an oil-stained jacket, his eyes sharp but kind. His name was Jack, a mechanic from Earth, sent to repair ships too old for anyone else to fix. The alien mayor walked up to him. "We didn't ask for humans here," he said coldly. "Just do your job and leave." Jack didn't answer. He only nodded, his gaze drifting toward the playground. That's when he saw her, the little alien girl sitting alone, struggling to move her hover chair through the dust. The wheels were jammed, one side sparking. Without thinking, Jack walked over. The children stopped playing again, watching with wide eyes. "You look stuck," Jack said, gently crouching beside her. His voice was deep but calm. Lyra looked down. "It's fine, sir. I'm used to it." "Doesn't look fine to me," he said with a small smile. He pulled out a tool from his belt, a small blue torch, and began fixing the jammed wheel. Sparks danced like fireflies. Within seconds, the chair floated smoothly again. Lyra blinked in surprise. "You fixed it?" "That's what humans do," Jack said, standing up. "We fix things." The alien mayor frowned from a distance. "Don't waste your time on broken children, human." "Machines are worth more than her." Jack didn't reply. He only gave the girl a nod and walked back toward his ship, wiping grease from his hands. That night, the colony grew quiet. Lights dimmed. Lyra lay in her small metal house, staring at the stars through her cracked window. She thought about the humans' words. "We fix things," she whispered to herself. Maybe humans fix people too. Far away in his ship, Jack was still awake. His hands were covered in oil, his eyes staring at a pile of old robotic parts he had found in the junkyard. Pieces of servo motors, hover joints, and old prosthetic connectors, all useless according to the aliens. But Jack smiled faintly. "They don't know Earth," he said to himself. "On Earth, we don't throw away broken souls." He looked out the window and saw Lyra's small home under the moonlight. A plan began to form in his mind. Something big. Something that could change more than just a broken chair. He whispered into the dark, "Don't worry, little one. We'll play ball one day." The wind outside carried his words softly through the colony. Lyra, half asleep, thought she heard a voice calling her name. In that silent night, under the twin moons of Turvan 4, hope was born quietly, between a human mechanic who fixed everything and a little alien girl who didn't yet know that her life was about to change forever. The cue. Next morning on Turvan 4 began with the low hum of engines and the smell of hot metal. The colony was alive with noise, ships lifting off, merchants shouting, and repair droids buzzing through the dusty streets. But one sound came from a quiet corner of the colony, deep inside an old cargo hangar. It was the sound of work. Inside that hangar, Jack, the human mechanic, was busy. His jacket hung from a pipe and sweat dripped from his neck as sparks flew around him. The place was filled with strange pieces, old hover engines, broken droids, and robotic limbs. Every alien who had passed this junk before said it was useless. But to Jack it was treasure. He whispered to himself as he welded two metal rods together. On Earth, junk builds miracles. Suddenly, a soft voice came from the doorway. "You're working again?" Jack turned, and there she was, Lyra. Her hover chair hummed weakly as she rolled closer, holding a small metal box in her lap. She looked nervous but curious. "Morning," Jack said with a grin. "Didn't think anyone would visit." Lyra handed him the box. "It's food. Mother said humans forget to eat when they work." Jack laughed quietly. "Your mother's smart. Thank her for me." She nodded and looked around the workshop, eyes wide. There were tools she had never seen before, blueprints glowing on holographic walls and parts shaped like legs and arms. "What are you building?" she asked softly. Jack smiled but didn't answer directly. Something that might make a little girl's wish come true. Her golden eye blinked. "A wish?" Jack walked over to a table and picked up a shiny round part. "You said you wanted to run, right?" Lyra froze. "You heard that?" "Yeah," he said gently. "I hear a lot of things. The universe is noisy when it wants to help someone." Lyra didn't know what to say. No one had ever listened to her like that before. For a moment, she felt a strange warmth inside. Something she hadn't felt since her father disappeared in the mines years ago. Jack turned back to his work. "Humans build things that others think are impossible," he said, voice low. "Back on Earth, people who lost their legs ran faster than storms. They climbed mountains. They even went to war and came back heroes." Her eyes widened. "They weren't ashamed?" "Never," Jack said firmly. "Because being broken doesn't mean being weak. It means you have a reason to fight harder." Outside the hangar, two alien guards walked by, whispering. "That human's building something strange," one said. "He works at night, doesn't talk much. Maybe he's making weapons," the other replied. "Humans always bring trouble." The words reached the ears of Mayor Keln, a tall, sharp-eyed alien who never trusted humans. He frowned deeply. "Keep watching him. If he builds anything dangerous, I'll have him exiled." Inside, Jack had no idea that rumors were spreading. He kept building. Lyra kept visiting every day, bringing food and asking questions. Soon she began helping, handing him tools, cleaning metal, learning names like servo joint core stabilizer and kinetic balance chip. One evening she asked quietly, "Jack, is it really for me?" Jack stopped working for a moment. He looked at her face, hopeful, scared, innocent. Then he smiled, a small, tired smile. "Let's just say, I like fixing stars that others stop believing in." Lyra didn't understand what that meant, but she felt her heart beat faster. That night, after she went home, Jack stayed up late again. The workshop glowed blue with plasma light. The object on the table was now taking shape. It looked like a leg, but unlike any leg the colony had ever seen. It was built of silver metal, smooth and strong, with glowing veins of blue energy running through it like living light. He whispered to himself, "This isn't just a prosthetic. It's freedom." Suddenly the hangar door creaked open slightly. Someone was watching from the shadows. Two red eyes glowed briefly, recording everything. A small surveillance drone hovered, silent as a ghost, and flew away into the night. Jack didn't notice. He was lost in his work. Sparks flew again, lighting his determined face. Meanwhile, at her small home, Lyra looked out of her window toward the hangar light in the distance. She whispered, "What is he really making for me?" Her mother called from inside, "Lyra, sleep now." But Lyra didn't sleep. She couldn't. The sound of metal and sparks echoed in her mind. For the first time, she felt something she had never dared to feel before. Hope. Outside, the alien winds howled across the dunes. The twin moons hung over the horizon, watching the strange human who dared to build dreams out of broken scrap. And somewhere inside that hangar, Jack tightened the last bolt and smiled. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "the real test begins." The next few days passed quietly on Tervan 4, but something in the air felt different. The children still played, the traders still shouted, and the sun still rose. But whispers began to spread through the colony like a cold wind. "Have you seen what the human is building?" One worker whispered. "Something dangerous," another replied. "I saw bright blue light in his hangar last night." "Maybe it's a weapon," said a third. "Humans love weapons." By the time morning came, nearly everyone had heard the rumor. The mayor, Keln, called an emergency meeting in the main hall. The alien guard stood stiff and silent while the mayor spoke. That human, Keln said, his long tail flicking in anger, has been working on something in secret. No one knows what it is. He hides it even from me. We cannot allow danger to grow in our colony. A guard stepped forward. Should we search his hangar, sir? Not yet, Keln replied. Let's watch him first. If he refuses to speak, we'll act. Outside the hall, a small figure had been listening from the shadows, Lyra. Her heart pounded. She wanted to tell them that Jack wasn't dangerous, that he was kind, that he fixed her chair, that he was building something beautiful, not deadly, but she was afraid. If she said anything, they might ban her from seeing him again. That evening, she rolled her hover chair quietly to the workshop. The doors were closed, but she could hear the sound of tools and see a soft blue glow spilling through the cracks. She knocked gently. Jack, it's me. The door slid open with a hiss. Jack looked tired, his face smudged with oil. He smiled when he saw her. Hey, Lyra, couldn't sleep? She shook her head. They're saying things about you, Jack. The mayor thinks you're building a weapon. Jack sighed and sat down beside the workbench. I figured they would. Why don't you just show them it's not true? She asked softly. He looked at her, eyes serious now. Because sometimes, Lyra, people fear what they don't understand. If I show them too soon, they'll destroy it before they see its purpose. Lyra looked at the glowing leg on the table. It was almost complete now. Smooth metal, shining blue veins, tiny energy circuits pulsing like a heartbeat. Is it really for me? She asked again. Jack nodded. It's not just a leg. It's a promise. When I was on Earth, I built machines for soldiers who lost their limbs. They ran again, fought again, lived again. If humans can do it, so can you. Her golden eye shimmered. But what if they stop you? What if they take it away? Jack smiled sadly. Then we'll find another way. I never quit, kid. Before Lyra could reply, the hangar door burst open. 3 alien guards rushed in, light guns raised. The mayor followed behind, his eyes cold. Human, Keln shouted. Step away from the machine. Jack didn't move. It's not a weapon, he said calmly. It's a prosthetic medical technology. It'll help her walk. Keln laughed harshly. Lies, we know human tech too well. You use kindness as a trick before you conquer. Lyra cried out, he's telling the truth. But the guards ignored her and surrounded Jack. One of them kicked the metal leg off the table, sending it crashing to the floor with a loud clang. Sparks flew, Jack's jaw tightened. Careful. That's delicate. Enough, Keln said coldly. You are forbidden to work with colony resources. We will destroy this thing before it brings harm. Jack took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. You fear progress. You call compassion a threat. That's your mistake, not mine. The mayor's eyes flashed. You have 1 cycle to leave our colony. After that, your ship will be impounded. Then they left, taking pieces of his work with them. When the hangar was quiet again, Jack stood motionless. The half-finished leg lay broken on the floor. Lyra looked at him with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Jack, she whispered. It's my fault. If I hadn't come here, they wouldn't have known. Jack shook his head slowly. No, Lyra, they'd have found a reason anyway. That's how fear works, it finds something to blame. He knelt beside her and lifted the broken leg. They can take this apart, but they can't take away what's already built inside you. Lyra didn't understand, but his voice made her chest tighten. She reached out and touched the cold metal. Will you fix it? He smiled faintly. I always do. Outside, lightning flashed across the alien sky. The storm winds howled through the colony streets, and the blue light inside the workshop flickered. As the storm grew, Jack began collecting the broken parts again. Tomorrow night, he murmured, we'll finish it. No matter what, Lyra watched him in silence, not realizing that the guards were already reporting back to the mayor, and that soon, the entire colony would turn against the only human who ever tried to help her. Night fell over Turvan 4 like a blanket of silver dust. The colony lights flickered weakly as a quiet storm rolled in, painting the twin moons with streaks of lightning. Most of the aliens stayed inside, afraid of the wind that sang through the metal streets. But one small figure moved through the darkness, her hover chair humming softly. It was Lyra. She moved silently, her small hands clutching a blanket over her lap to hide what she carried. 2 glowing blue parts she had saved from the mayor's guards before they destroyed them, the broken exo leg, She reached the old hangar and knocked twice. "Jack, it's me." The door slid open. Inside, the human mechanic looked worn out, his eyes red from sleepless nights. His workshop was half empty now. Most of his tools had been taken by the colony guards. But when he saw what Lyra held, he froze. "You kept it?" he whispered. She nodded, smiling shyly. "They wanted to burn it, but I couldn't let them. It's a piece of my dream." Jack knelt down and took the metal from her hands. "You're braver than most grown soldiers I've known." He placed the parts on the table and looked around the hangar. "If they find out we're still working, they'll exile us both," he muttered. Lyra looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. "Then let's not get caught." Jack stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed softly. "All right, little one. Let's make history." He turned on the power cells. The lights flickered weakly and sparks danced in the dark. Together, they began rebuilding the exo-leg piece by piece. Lyra handed him tools, her small fingers trembling with excitement. Jack worked quickly, his movements sure and precise, as if every spark carried a heartbeat. Hours passed. The storm outside grew stronger, lightning flashing through the cracks in the roof. Finally, Jack stepped back and looked at the finished piece, the new leg, shining silver and blue, strong but light. "It's ready," he said quietly. Lyra's heart raced. "For real?" he nodded. "But you have to promise me something. Once you stand, you don't stop trying, no matter how many times you fall." "I promise," she said softly. Jack lifted her gently from the hover chair and sat her down on a workbench. He carefully fitted the exo-leg to her damaged limb. The mechanical locks clicked, the circuits glowing faintly. The moment he pressed the power switch, a blue pulse ran through the room. Lyra gasped as she felt warmth, real warmth, flow through her leg for the first time in years. "Try moving it," Jack said. Lyra looked down, scared. Her old prosthetic had always been heavy, stiff, useless. But this one felt alive. Slowly, she willed her new leg to move. The toes flexed. The knee bent. Then, trembling, she placed her foot on the floor. The sound echoed softly. Her first real step. Jack smiled. "Good. Again." She took another step. Then another. She almost lost her balance, but Jack caught her just in time. Lyra laughed, the sound breaking into a mix of tears and joy. I can feel it, Jack. It listens to me." "Of course it does," he said. "It's built to obey you, not control you." She took one more step, and this time she didn't fall. She walked slow but steady across the workshop floor. The glowing veins on the leg pulsed like a heartbeat in rhythm with her own. Outside, the storm raged harder and lightning split the sky open. Unseen above them, a small surveillance drone hovered, recording every moment. The video feed streamed straight to the mayor's office. In the command room, Mayor Keln stared at the screen in shock. "The human did it," he whispered. He made her walk. The guards murmured behind him. Some looked amazed, others fearful. "What should we do, sir?" one asked. Keln's expression hardened. "Shut it down. Destroy that workshop before others start believing in his lies." Back at the hangar, Jack helped Lyra sit again. She was crying softly now, not from pain, but happiness. "Jack," she whispered. "When I walked, I didn't feel small anymore," he smiled. "That's what it means to stand tall, Lyra. That's what they can't take away." A sudden noise made him turn. Footsteps outside, heavy and fast. He looked toward the door, eyes narrowing. "They're coming," Lyra gasped. "What will they do?" Jack quickly powered down the lights. "Hide, little one. They can take the tools, but not what's already inside you." She obeyed, hiding behind the workbench. The hangar door shook under pounding fists. "Open up!" the guard shouted. "By order of the mayor." Jack stood silently in the dark, his hand resting on the exo-leg's power switch. The door finally burst open. Bright lights filled the room, but the chair was empty. The girl was gone, and the human mechanic was nowhere to be found. The guards searched, shouting orders. But in the far desert beyond the colony, two figures moved quietly under the silver moons, one walking for the first time in her life, the other guiding her through the storm. Morning broke over Turvan 4, quiet and golden, but peace did not last. By noon, the whole colony was buzzing with one story. The human made the crippled child walk. Screens across the settlement replayed shaky footage from a hidden drone. Lyra taking her first steps, the human standing beside her. Some aliens gasped in awe, others whispered in fear. He rebuilt her leg with forbidden tech. No alien has done that before. What if humans use this to control us? The video spread through every market, every workshop, every home. By evening, crowds gathered outside the mayor's building. Some shouted for freedom, others demanded punishment. Inside, Mayor Keln stood before his council. His face was pale, his tail tense. "This cannot continue," he said. "If humans start healing our children, they will own our hearts. We must stop him before he becomes a symbol." One counselor hesitated. "But sir, the girl can walk." "Isn't that good?" Keln slammed his fist on the table. "Good? It makes us look weak. Our laws forbid mixing human machinery with our biology." He turned to his guards. "Find the human. Seize the device. If he resists, exile him." Far from the meeting, Jack sat outside his damaged hangar, staring at the sky. The storm from last night had cleared, leaving the air cold and clean. Lyra sat beside him, her new leg glowing softly under her blanket. "They've seen the video," he said quietly. Lyra looked down. "They hate you now, don't they?" "Some do," Jack said. "But some saw the truth. Change always scares people first." He handed her a small ball made of silver wire. "Try throwing it." She stood up slowly, still unsure but steadier than before. The exo-leg moved like part of her body now. She threw the ball. It rolled across the sand, and for the first time she chased after it, laughing. Her laughter echoed through the air, bright and full of life. Jack smiled, but worry still clouded his eyes. Then a sound broke the peace: engines. The colony guards' hoverbikes appeared on the ridge, lights flashing red. Jack's expression hardened. "Stay behind me," he said. The guard stopped a few meters away. The leader shouted, "Human! By order of the mayor, surrender your tools and the prototype." Lyra stepped forward. "He saved me." "You can't—" "Quiet," the guard barked. "That device is illegal." Jack raised his hand slowly. "You want the tools? Fine, but you leave her alone." One guard pushed past him and grabbed Lyra's arm. She stumbled. Jack's temper flared. "Don't touch her," he warned. The guard sneered. "You don't command here, human." Jack moved faster than anyone expected. He grabbed the guard's wrist, twisted, and pulled him away. The man fell hard, his weapon clattering on the ground. The others aimed their blasters instantly. "Stop," Lyra cried. "He's not hurting anyone." Jack stood still, hands raised again. "Enough," he said. "You win. Take what you came for." The leader nodded. "Good choice." He motioned for two guards to enter the hangar. They smashed his tables, burned his schematics, and dragged away the spare exoparts. Sparks filled the air. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Jack, your work," he forced a smile. "Work can be rebuilt. Lives can't." When the guards left, the hangar was a ruin. Metal twisted, smoke rising into the sky. Jack looked at the fire for a long moment. "They're afraid of what they don't understand," he murmured. He turned to Lyra. "Pack your things. It's not safe for you here." "Where will we go?" she whispered. "Anywhere the stars will let us," he said. "But first we help them, even if they hate us for it." Before dawn, disaster struck. A sudden meteor storm crashed through the atmosphere, bright red stones raining from the sky. The colony shields flickered, then failed. Explosions shook the ground. Panic spread everywhere. Lyra was still outside when one of the meteors hit near the dome. The blast threw her off her feet. Debris pinned her down. Her hover chair shattered beside her. She screamed, her legs sparking wildly. Inside the wrecked hangar, Jack heard her cry. He ran through the fire and falling glass. "Lyra!" He reached her, blood streaking his face, and lifted the debris with his bare hands. "Hold on, kid. I've got you." Her voice trembled. "It hurts." Jack looked at the damaged exo-leg. Circuits were broken, power dying fast. "Stay with me," he said. He ripped wires from his own tool belt and began connecting them directly to his portable power cell. Lightning struck nearby, shaking the ground, but Jack didn't stop. The suit came back to life with a spark. He lifted her in his arms, shielding her from falling glass. "I told you I'd fix anything," he whispered. Above them, the colony dome cracked like a giant egg, air rushing out in a violent roar. Jack ran toward the emergency shelter as meteors rained behind him. He stumbled, fell, but never let go of the girl. And when the light swallowed them both, the last thing Lyra heard was his voice, calm and steady through the chaos. "Don't give up now, little star. Not when you've just learned to walk." The world of Turvan 4 lay in chaos. The meteor storm had torn open the colony dome, leaving twisted steel and shattered glass everywhere. Fires burned through the markets. Smoke rolled over the glowing sand like a dark sea, and out of that storm walked a human, Jack the mechanic. He carried the small alien girl, Lyra, in his arms. Her new metal legs sparked weakly, the light inside fading with every step. His jacket was torn, his skin burned, but he kept moving. The sky roared with thunder as he stumbled through the wreckage toward the nearest shelter. Each breath came like fire, but his grip on the child never loosened. "Stay awake," he whispered. "Talk to me, kid." Lyra's voice was faint. "Jack, are we going to die?" He smiled through blood and dust. "Not today. You've still got a game to play." The ground shook again, throwing them off balance. Jack used his own body as a shield, covering her from falling metal. His arm caught a shard of glass, slicing deep, but he didn't stop. Inside the half-collapsed shelter, frightened aliens huddled together. When they saw the human enter, bleeding, holding the broken child, silence filled the room. One alien gasped, "He came back? He saved her?" Jack laid Lyra gently on the floor. Her breathing was weak. The Exoleg's power core was dying. He tore open his own tool pack, pulling out the last energy cell he had. Without hesitation, he connected it to the suit's power line, even though it meant losing the power to his own life support pack. The lights dimmed. His hands shook. Sweat rolled down his face. "Come on," he muttered. "Don't quit on me now." The suit flickered, then glowed bright blue again. Lyra gasped as energy rushed through her body. Her eyes fluttered open. "Jack." He smiled, voice hoarse. "Told you. I fix everything." Then his strength gave out. He slumped against the wall, breathing hard. His face was pale, lips trembling from pain and exhaustion. Lyra crawled closer, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You gave it your energy. You'll die." Jack chuckled weakly. "I've lived enough, kid. You've just started." The aliens in the shelter watched silently. Some were ashamed, others amazed. The same people who once called him dangerous now saw him as something else, something rare. A medic rushed forward, trying to help. "We must get him to the infirmary." Lyra grabbed Jack's hand. "Please, don't leave me." He looked at her with tired eyes. "You can walk now, Lyra. That's all that matters." Outside, the storm began to calm. Through the cracks in the dome, morning light poured in like gold. Drones from the upper colonies arrived, recording everything. The wreckage, the fire, the human mechanic lying beside the child he saved. The next day, the footage spread through the galactic net again. This time no one could call it fake. The whole galaxy saw a human risking his life to save a disabled alien child. Messages flooded Turvan 4. Who is this man? Humans. They care like no one else. Send aid to the colony. Even the mayor couldn't stop it. 3 days later, Jack opened his eyes in a hospital bed. His arm was wrapped in white cloth and machines beeped softly beside him. He turned his head and there she was. Lyra stood beside the bed without her hover chair, smiling proudly. Her leg gleamed bright silver under the light. "You're awake," she said softly. "I walked here." "No chair," Jack smiled faintly. "Told you you'd play ball again." The door opened and Mayor Kellen entered. His eyes were no longer cold. He bowed his head slightly, a gesture no one had ever seen before. "I was wrong," the mayor said quietly. "You saved her. You saved all of us," Jack shrugged. "Just did what any decent human would do." Kel nodded. "Perhaps that's what makes you dangerous, to our pride, not our safety." He looked at Lyra. "From today, your leg stays. No more laws against it. We'll learn from it." Jack leaned back, tired but smiling. "Good. Because this world needs more legs that walk toward hope." That night, the colony held a small gathering under the repaired dome. The sky above was clear, stars shining like diamonds. Lyra stood before the crowd holding the same silver ball Jack had made for her. "When I met him," she said softly, "I thought I was broken. But he showed me humans don't see broken things, they see what can be fixed." The crowd cheered quietly. Even the mayor smiled. Jack watched from a distance, his arm in a sling, his heart full. As the music played and laughter returned to Turvan 4, he whispered to himself, "Maybe now she'll never be alone again." And far above the colony, satellites captured the moment, a small alien girl playing ball under the stars, while a human mechanic watched with pride. The caption that appeared across the galactic net read, "He gave her a leg. and the galaxy a reason to believe in humanity again. The suns of Tervan 4 rose slowly that morning, bright and warm, washing the colony in gold. For the first time in many years, laughter echoed through the streets. The repairs were complete, the fires were gone, and peace had returned. In the open field behind the colony, workers had built something new, a wide ground covered with smooth sand and shining white lines. It wasn't for mining or training. It was for something no one on Tervan 4 had seen before. A playground. Children gathered, alien and human alike, carrying colorful balls and makeshift bats. The colony had announced the first ever Unity Sports Day, an event to celebrate survival, courage, and the strange friendship that had saved them all. At the edge of the field stood Lyra, dressed in simple white clothes, her new silver leg glowing faintly in the morning light. Her hands shook a little as she held the ball. "She's nervous," someone whispered. "Can she really play?" Beside her stood Jack, still wearing a bandage on his arm but smiling proudly. "You'll do fine," he said softly. Lyra looked up at him. "What if I fall?" Jack chuckled. "Then you get up and try again. That's what humans do." "That's what you do now." The whistle blew, sharp and clear. The crowd fell silent. All eyes turned to the small alien girl standing at the center of the field. Lyra took a deep breath. The other players waited for her to throw the ball. Her heart raced, memories flashing through her mind. The playground where she sat alone, the cruel whispers, the broken chair, the night she first walked, and the man who gave her the courage to dream. She tightened her grip on the ball and smiled. "Let's play." With a flick of her hand, she threw it high into the air. The game began. Children shouted and laughed, chasing after the ball. Sand flew under their feet. Lyra ran after them, her steps light and quick, her laughter brighter than the suns above. Every time she stumbled, Jack's voice echoed from the sidelines. "You're doing great, kid. Keep going." The crowd cheered louder and louder. Even the mayor, Keln, watched in silence for a long time before joining the applause. For once, the colony wasn't divided by fear or species. It was united by joy. As the game continued, Jack stood back, hands in his pockets, smiling quietly. He had seen many miracles in his life, but none like this. An alien woman approached him. It was Lyra's mother. Her eyes were filled with tears. "I owe you everything," she said softly. Jack shook his head. "You don't owe me. Just promise you'll never call her broken again." The woman nodded. "Never." The match ended with laughter, no winners, no losers, only pride and happiness. Lyra ran to Jack, panting and smiling wide. "Did you see me? I fell 3 times but got up 4. Jack laughed. "That's the human way." The mayor stepped forward, holding a small medal carved from crystal. He placed it in Lyra's hand. "For courage," he said, his voice softer than anyone had ever heard. "You showed us what strength really means." She looked at the medal, then at Jack. "It's yours," she said, handing it to him. He shook his head. "No, kid, you earned it. I just fixed a few bolts." As the suns began to set, painting the sky orange and purple, Lyra stood on the field one last time. She looked up at the stars, the same stars where Jack's homeworld lay far away. She whispered quietly, "You kept your promise." "I played ball," Jack smiled, watching her. "You did more than that, Lyra. You showed a galaxy what hope looks like." For a long moment, they stood there, human and alien, teacher and student, builder and dreamer, both changed forever. The wind blew softly through the colony, carrying laughter into the night. Across the galactic net, millions watched the final broadcast. A human mechanic made a disabled alien girl walk. She made a world believe again, and beneath the caption was a simple message that spread faster than any news, faster than light itself. Humanity fixes more than machines. Humanity fixes hearts.